Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session, our second session looking at the Insatiate Countess, of which I'm not going to give you any more information about at this time. We're going to be talking about a little more about the nature of the text at the end of the third session. But for the moment, we just want the room to respond to the text as it comes at them. There may be occasional random names popping up. I'm hoping that this problem disappears as we go, because there are various textual issues with which name is being used by which character at certain times. You have to take one tack or another, and fingers crossed that it all now all fits together. It may not. Continuing our journey, we're going from Act 2, Scene 3 today. Continuing our journey, reading Guido and the Duke is...
Helen Good, historian in Hull.
Reading Rogero today is...
Hello, I'm Valentina. I am an Italian actor and voiceover artist in London.
Reading Isabella today is...
Hello, my name's Emma Kemp. I'm an actor and I live in London.
Reading Captain and Abigail today is...
Hello, I'm Tamara and I'm an actor currently based in Germany.
Reading Servant and Gniaca is...
I am Eric and I'm here. I'm awake.
He's here and he's awake. But is anybody else? Reading Mizaldus and Anna today is...
Me, Rachael Nicole, actor in New Jersey.
Reading Roberto and Senator Number 2 is...
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu and I'm an author based in Romford.
Reading Mendoza and Thais today is...
Briony Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
Reading Claridiana today is...
Hello, I'm Lynn, and given that I live where it's 6:18 in the morning, I'm awake too, and I'm really proud of myself.
Reading Page and Watch Number 1 is...
Hi, Alan Scott, based in Suffolk.
And reading Lady Lentulus and Senator Number 1 is...
Lois Potter, retired academic living in London.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading stage directions and frantically scribbling when I find that some of the editorial interventions that I should have done haven't been done. So, without further ado, and best foot forward as we go into Act 2, Scene 3, we've just left the B-plot simmering away as a plan for cuckolding is de-cuckolded from its cuckolding. And we return to what we might call the A-plot, as Isabella, having just married, is maybe thinking about somebody else taking up a prime spot in her heart. Act 2, Scene 3, enter Isabella and a page with a letter.
Here, take this letter, bear it to the Count. But boy, first tell, think'st thou I'm in love?
Madam, I cannot tell.
Canst thou not tell? Dost thou not see my face? Is not the face the index of the mind? And canst thou not distinguish love by that?
No, madam.
Then take this letter and deliver it unto the worthy Count. No, fie upon him. Come back. Tell me, why shouldst thou think that same's a love letter?
I do not think so, madam.
I know thou dost, for thou dost ever use to hold the wrong opinion. Tell me true. Dost thou not think that letter is of love?
If you would have me think so, madam, yes.
Dost thou think thy lady is so fond? Give me the letter, myself shall see it. Yet I should tear it in the breaking oak, and make him lay a wrongful charge on thee, and say thou brokest it open by the way, and saw what heinous things I charge him with. But 'tis all one, the letter is not of love. Therefore deliver it unto himself, and tell him he's deceived. I do not love him. But if he thinks so, bid him come to me, and I'll confute him straight. I'll show him reasons. I'll show him plainly why I cannot love him. And if he had to read it in thy hearing, or chance to tell thee that the words were sweet, do not thou then disclose my lewd intent under those siren words, and how I mean to use him when I have him at my will. For then thou wilt destroy the plot that's laid, and make him fear to yield when I do wish, only to have him yield, for when I have him, none but myself shall know how I will use him. Begone! Why starest thou? Yet return again.
Aye, madam.
Why dost thou come again? I bade thee go. If I say go, never return again.
Exit page.
My blood like to a troubled ocean, cuffed with the winds, uncertain where to rest, butts at the utmost shore of every limb. My husband's not the man I would have had. Ah, my new thoughts to this brave, sprightly lord was fixed by that hid fire lovers feel. Where was my mind before, that refined judgment that represents rare objects to our passions? And did my lust beguile me of my sense, making me feast upon such dangerous cates, for present want that needs must read a surfeit? How was I shipwrecked? Yet, Isabella, think. Thy husband is a noble gentleman, young, wise, and rich. Think what fate follows thee, and naught but lust doth blind thy worthy love. I will desist. Oh no, it may not be. Even as a headstrong courser bears away his rider, valiantly striving him to stay, or as a sudden gale thrust into sea the haven-touching bark, now near the lee, so wavering Cupid brings me back amain, and purple love resumes his darts again. Here of themselves thy shafts come as if shot, better than I thy quiver knows them not.
Enter Rogero and the page.
Madam, the Count.
So fell the Trojan wanderer on the Greek, and bore away his ravished prize to Troy. For such a beauty, brighter than his Dany, Jove should methinks now come himself again. Lovely Isabella, I confess me mortal, not worthy to serve thee in thought, I swear, yet shall not this same overflow of favour diminish my vowed duty to your beauty.
Your love, my lord, I blushingly proclaim it, hath power to draw me through a wilderness, wert armed with furies as with furious beasts. Boy, bid our train be ready. Go to horse.
And exit the page.
My lord, I should say something, but I blush. Courting is not befitting to our sex.
I'll teach you how to woo. Say you have loved me long, and tell me that a woman's feeble tongue was never turned unto a wooing string. Yet for my sake you will forget your sex, and court my love with strained immodesty. Then bid me make you happy with a kiss.
Sir, though women do not woo, yet for your sake I am content to leave that civil custom, and pray you kiss me.
Now use some unexpected ambushes to draw me further into Vulcan's net.
You love not me so well as I love you.
Fair lady, but I do.
Then show your love.
Why, in this kiss I show it, and in my vowed service this wooing shall suffice. 'Tis easier far to make the current of a silver brook convert his flowing backwards to his spring than turn a woman wooer. There's no cause can turn the settled course of nature's laws.
My lord, will you pursue the plot?
The letter gives direction here for Puffy. To horse! To horse! Thus on Eurydice with looks regardant did the Thracians gaze, and lost his gift while he desired the sight. But wiser I, led by more powerful charm, I'd see the world win thee from out mine arm.
And exeunt. So there's been quite a shift. I feel in Rogero there since we last met. With his dancing shoes. Much keener. I don't know how other people in the room feel there. And of course, we're getting more time with Isabella and her page, and thought processes. Shame we don't have yesterday's Isabella with us today. Thoughts from the room about this little scene. Some people do not separate this into a separate scene from the next scene, but we are going to continue on that tradition. Briony.
I just found that conversation that she just had with her page just so, like, what? So she's saying that it's not a love letter, but she can't show him because then whoever she's sending it to is going to think that it's been opened. But if he reads it out in front of her and she hears that it's a love letter, don't tell anybody because it's definitely not a love letter. What?
Someone is really bad at keeping a secret what they're trying to do. It's like, the servants always know. So trying to preempt this by saying it's definitely not a love letter. Okay, so just make it clear this isn't a love. Yeah, I think possibly Isabella isn't thinking straight. I'm just gonna suggest that. I don't know. What's going on with Isabella, Lynn?
Yeah, she's 14. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but like this is the kind of like hormonal stew that adolescents suffer from. That like your emotions are really intense and also really unstable. So maybe she doesn't literally have to be an adolescent, but that's definitely her character, is that somebody who's just not managing her emotions very well and not thinking with her glands.
Yeah. Inconsistency being a consistent character trait, perhaps. Eric.
Yeah, I was going to say that you could argue that technically if she's been married to her previous husband for a long time and then he dies and then suddenly, she gets married again after a very short amount of time, then she's sort of exploring herself. I don't know if you want to give it a rational explanation, but I don't know if that sort of...
Helen and then Lois.
She's just a very, very bad conspirator. She's had absolutely no practice in how to do this.
And I think in real life, most people are very bad at hiding these things. Unless you're, some people are. Some people are, but a lot of people, their emotions are just pouring all over the place. Everybody knows. Lois.
Yeah, well, I think I said last time that I thought the two wives who are totally honest and planning to avoid committing adultery are set there deliberately because Isabella is portrayed in a way that seems to me totally misogynistic. I mean, this is typical female behavior. They don't know what they want and they dither all over the place and they're insatiable, which is why she's called the Insatiate Countess. And presumably whatever she said in that letter is what explains the change in Rogero's behavior when he comes in. She's, as far as I can make out, she's laid out a complete scheme for them to elope.
Yeah, he's definitely turned a corner, shall we say. Any other thoughts before we go into other things? Eric?
Well, also, Rogero says, thus on Eurydice with Luke's regarding the Thracian gaze. And it's like, yeah, because that love affair ended so well.
Yeah, that seems to be what happens with almost all classical references here. It's just, I'm going to reference something that is not portending to anything good. I mean, there aren't that many happy stories in classical mythology. Rachael.
Yeah, I mean, maybe those little references are foreshadowing, because the first two people are caught. They're caught. Vulcan catches Mars and Venus, and then I'm assuming the Trojan he's talking about is Paris and Helen. So maybe her husband's going to catch them, and yeah.
Well, the Thracian is Orpheus, isn't he?
Yeah, he's meant to be Thracian in some traditions. Most traditions, basically, he's Thracian.
Yeah, and so he looks back on Eurydice and loses her. But I think, isn't Rogero saying that he is going to be smarter than Orpheus? Though I couldn't really quite get the point of that line.
Well, more to unpack perhaps at a future time. Let's get deeper into the play. We've sort of got our sea legs back again, as lots of action is occurring. Some editions, I say, don't split this into a separate scene, but we're going with Act 2, Scene 4. Enter at several doors. We have Claridiana and Guido.
Zounds! Is the hurricane coming? Claridiana, what's the matter?
And there's a trampling of horses heard.
The Countess of Suabia has new taken horse. Fly, Phoebus, fly. The hour is 6 o'clock.
Whither is she gone, signor?
Even as Jove went to meet his Semele, to the devil, I think.
You know not wherefore?
To say sooth, I do not. So in immortal wise shall I arrive.
At the gallows? What, in a passion, signor?
Zoons, do not hold me, sir. Beauteous Thais, I am thine wholly. The staff is now advancing for the rest. And now I tilt, Rogero, wear thy crest.
And that should be Mizaldus. When I tilt Mizaldus, apologies, my bad. Exit Claridiana.
What's here? The capering godhead tilting in the air?
And enter Roberto in his cap and nightgown with servants, and he kneels down.
The gods send her remorse, a poor old age, eternal woe, and sickness lasting rage.
My lord, you may yet take them.
Fury supply that place, for I will not. No, she can forsake me when pleasure's in the full, fresh and untired. What would she on the least barren coldness? I warrant you she has already got her bravos and her ruffians. The meanest whore will have one buckler, but your great ones more. The shores of Sicily retain not such a monster, though to galley slaves they daily prostitute, to let the nuptial tapers give light to her new lust. Who would have thought it? She that could no more forsake my company than can the day forsake the glorious presence of the sun. When I was absent then, her galled eyes would have shed April showers and outwept the clouds in that same o'er-passionate mood when they drowned all the world, yet now forsakes me. Women, your eyes shed glances like the sun. Now shines your brightness, now your light is done. On the sweetest flowers you shine, 'tis but by chance, and on the basest weed you'll waste a glance. Your beams once lost can never more be found, unless we wait until your course run round, and take you at fifth hand. Since I cannot enjoy the noble title of a man, but after ages, as our virtues are buried, whilst we are living, will sound out my infamy and her degenerate shame, yet in my life I'll smother it, if I may, and like a dead man to the world bequeath these houses of vanity, mills and lands. Take what you will, I will not keep among you servants, and welcome some religious monastery. A true sworn beadsman I'll hereafter be, and wake the morning cock with holy prayers.
Good lord, my noble master.
Dissuade me not, my will shall be my king. I thank thee, wife, a fair change thou hast given. I leave thy lust to woo the love of heaven.
And he goes out with his servants. This is conversion, is not? As good as might have been. He turns religious upon his wife's turning courtesan. This is just like some of our gallant prodigals. When they have consumed their patrimonies wrongfully, they turn capuchins for devotion.
And exit Guido. It's amazing. I was reading the stage direction, and I suddenly sounded like Helen. It was quite a transformation. Yes. Unmuting fail there. I thought it went well, and then yeah. Anyway, almost immediately, the elopement has been discovered, and Roberto is not a happy bunny. Not a happy bunny with what's going on there, and of course also other not very happy bunnies. Claridiana Presumably, this is interrupting the hoped-for cuckolding plan because the house is in uproar, and therefore is not in a position to get on with what he was planning on doing. All at the end of the act, and the ends of acts are important. All goes. Thoughts on Roberto here, as his innermost mind is expressed. Anyone would like to make any comment there? Briony.
Hello, I'm here to lower the tone. I just thought it was really nice that they managed to get and it's not even an innuendo, a big old cock reference in the middle of how he's going to go and join a monastery. I'm going to be so religious. Here's a bit of cock thrown into that. Just love it.
Yes. Eric.
I was going to say this is the second nobleman turned friar that we've seen in a Marston play. Maybe a third one? I don't know. Because we had one in the Malcontent where he kind of... is it the Malcontent? Yeah, the Malcontent where the usurping duke basically becomes a friar, Peter of the Rock or something like that.
Yeah, but that's more an outward suggestion from somebody else saying, you need to go into disguise. Whereas here, this seems to have an internal impetus from him for quite different internal reasons. Rachael.
If this was, because she's a countess, because Isabella's a countess, and her husband and her don't seem to have had sex, wouldn't, I know this play, this fictional play isn't taking place in England, but in Italy or Spain or something. But if this was to take place in the UK at the time, if the marriage was never consummated, would she be able to get a divorce? Because from my interpretation,
I think lots of hands have flown up to answer that question.
Cool.
Helen, and then Lois in support.
I do think the marriage was consummated. I think that the night of the wedding happened. I think what we've got here is a tremendous collapse of time, because the letter has been sent. A certain amount of negotiation must go on. Opportunity must be found. Adultery takes place. Either it's discovered or they decide to run. I think we may be talking about quite a period of time here between one scene and another.
Yeah, Lois, muted at the moment. It gets us all in the end.
From what Roberto says, clearly he's thinking, gosh, I thought everything was going really well. She could barely bear to have me out of her sight. And it suggests that there's been a honeymoon that's, I don't know how long. I think this may still be the honeymoon, because he's also saying, if she could leave me now, she would certainly leave me if things were not as good as this. This is about as good as they get, or at least he thought they were. So, I don't know how much time we're meant to imagine. I think it's meant to be pretty quick, because that's part of the point of the awfulness of Isabella's behavior. But there's clearly been time for him to think he had a happy marriage.
It's not entirely unknown for things to be consummated before an actual service has taken place as well. So they were reasonably hot to trot when they first encountered each other. So it's not impossible, even if not necessarily what the society of the time would recommend. Eric,
I was going to say that this is sort of because Guido references the alternative ending to the contention of liberality and prodigality, where prodigality does not get hanged but turns a capuchin for devotion.
Other thoughts before we dive into Act 3? No. Okay, let's see where this is going. Any predictions as to how it's all going to end? Anyone want to throw anything in here? Briony.
Badly for the people involved.
Excellent. Act 3, Scene 1. We have Claridiana and Mizaldus enter at several doors. They're in readiness to go to each other's house, are received at one another's houses by their maids. So a bit of house swapping going on there. Then enter Mendoza, who we haven't had that much time with a page, and he goes to Lady Lentulus' window.
Night, like a solemn mourner, frowns on earth, envying that day should force her doff her robes, or Phoebus chase away her melancholy. Heaven's eyes look faintly through her sable mask, and silver Cynthia hides her in her sphere, scorning to grace black night's solemnity. Be unpropitious, night, to villain thoughts, but let thy diamond shine on virtuous love. This is the lower house of high-built heaven, where my chaste Phoebe sits enthroned 'mong thoughts so purely good, brings her to heaven on earth. Such power hath souls in contemplation. Sing, boy, though night yet, like the morning lark.
And some music plays. We can assume that the boy sings along to the music that's playing.
A soul that's clear as light, through heaven be dark, the Lady Lentulus at her window.
Sounds like a stage direction.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, that looks like a stage direction. My bad.
Who speaks in music to us?
Sweet, 'tis I. Boy, leave me unto bed.
Exit the page.
I thank you for your music. Now, good night.
Leave not the world yet, Queen of Chastity. Keep promise with thy love, Endymion, and let me meet thee there on Latmus' top. 'Tis I, whose virtuous hopes are firmly fixed on the fruition of thy chaste vowed love.
My lord, your honor made me promise you ascent into my house, since my vow barred my doors, by some wit's engine made for theft and lust. Yet for your honor and my humble fame, check your blood's passions and return, dear lord. Suspicion is a dog that still doth bite without a cause. This act gives food to envy. Swollen big, it bursts and poisons our clear flames.
Envy is stingless when she looks on thee.
Envy is blind, my lord, and cannot see.
If you break promise, fair, you break my heart.
Then come, yet stay. Ascend, yet let us part. I fear, yet know not what I fear. Your love is precious, yet mine honour's dear.
If I do stain thy honour with foul lust, may thunder strike me to show Jove is just.
Then come, my lord. On earth your vow is given. This aid I'll lend you.
And so throws up a ladder of cords, which she makes fast to some part of the window. He ascends and struggles a bit at the top.
Thus I mount my heaven. Receive me, sweet.
And down he goes.
Ah! Oh, me, unhappy wretch! How fares your honour? Speak, fate-crossed lord. If life retain his seat within you, speak. Else, like that Sestian dame that saw her love cast by the frowning billows on the sands, and lean death swoln big with the Hellespont in bleak Leander's body, like his love come I to thee. One grave shall serve us both.
Stay, miracle of women, yet I breathe. Though death be entered in this tower of flesh, he is not conqueror. My heart stands out and yields to thee, scorning his tyranny.
My doors are vowed shut, and I cannot help you. Your wounds are mortal. Wounded is mine honour, if there the town guard find you. Oh, unhappy dame, relief is perjured, my vow kept, shame. What hellish destiny did twist my fate?
Rest, seize thine eyelids, be not passionate. Sweet, sleep secure, I'll remove myself. That viper envy shall not spot thy fame. I'll take that poison with me, my soul's rest, for like a serpent I'll creep on my breast.
Oh, thou more than man, love wounded, joy and grief fight in my blood. Thy wounds and constancy are both so strong, None can have victory.
Darken the world, earth's queen, get thee to bed. The earth is light while those two stars are spread. Their splendour will betray me to men's eyes. Veil thy bright face, for if thou longer stay, Phoebus will rise to thee and make night day.
To part and leave you hurt, my soul doth fear.
To part from hence I cannot, you being there.
We'll move together, then fate love controls, and as we part, so bodies part from souls.
Mine is the earth, thine the refined fire. I am mortal, thou divine, then soul mount higher.
Why then, take comfort, sweet. I'll see you tomorrow.
My wounds are nothing. Thy loss breeds my sorrow.
Exit Lady Lentulus.
See now, 'tis dark. Support your master legs a little further. Faint not, bold heart, with anguish of my wound. Try further yet. Can blood weigh down my soul? Desire is vain without ability.
He staggers on and then falls down.
Thus falls a monarch, if fate push at him.
Enter a captain and the watch.
Come on, my hearts, we are the city's security. I'll give you your charge, and then like courtiers, every man spy out. Let no man in my company be afraid to speak to a cloak lined with velvet, nor tremble at the sound of a gingling spur.
I never be counted a cock of the game if I fear spurs, but be gelded like a capon for the preserving of my voice.
I'll have none of my band refrain to search a venerable house, though his wife's sister be a lodger there, nor take 2 shillings of the board to save the gentleman's credits that are aloft, and so, like voluntary panders, leave them to the shame of all halberdiers.
Have I not given out a watch number 2? No. Anyone who's free, leap in, be watch number 2.
Nay, the wenches will tickle them, that's flat.
If you meet a chiviolero, that's in the gross phrase a knight that swaggers in the street, and being taken has no money in his purse to pay for his fees, it shall be a part of your duty to entreat me to let him go.
Oh, marvellous! Is there such chevaliers?
Some 200, that's the least, that are revealed.
Mendoza groans.
What groan is that? Bring a light. Who lies there? It is the Lord Mendoza, kingsman to our dukes. Speak, good my lord. Relate your dire mischance. Life like a fearful servant flies his master. Art must atone them, or the whole man is lost. Convey him to his surgeons, then return.
And part of the watch bear away Mendoza. At some point in this dialogue.
No place shall be unsearched until we find the truth of this mischance. Make haste again. Whose house is this stands open? In, and search what guests that house contains, and bring them forth.
Exit the watch to search the houses of Claridiana and Mizaldus.
This nobleman's fortune stirs my quiet and fills my soul with fearful fantasies, but I'll unwind this labyrinth of doubt, else industry shall lose part of itself's labour.
Re-enter the watch with Claridiana and Mizaldus. Taken in one another's houses in their shirts and nightgowns, they see one another.
Who have we here? Signors, cannot you tell us how our prince's kingsman came wounded to the death night to your houses?
Hey, day! Cross rough at midnight. It's Christmas. You go a-gaming to your neighbor's house?
Dost make a mummer of me, Oxhead?
Make answers, gentlemen. It doth concern you.
Oxhead will bear an action. I'll have the law. I'll not be yoked. Bear witness, gentlemen, he calls me an Oxhead.
Do you hear, sir?
Very well, very well. Take law and hang thyself, I care not. Had she no other but that good face to dote upon? I'd rather she had dealt with a dangerous Frenchman than with such a pagan.
Are you mad? Answer my demand.
I am as good a Christian as thyself, though my wife have now new christened me.
Are you deaf? You make no answer.
Would I had had the circumcising of thee, Jew, I'd have cut short your cuckold maker. I would in faith.
Away with them to prison. They'll answer better there.
Not too fast, gentlemen. What's our crime?
Murder of the Duke's kinsman, Signor Mendoza.
And this is the two, Claridiana and Mizaldus saying this all here.
Nothing else? We did it. We did it. We did it.
Take heed, gentlemen, what you confess.
I'll confess anything since I am made a fool by a knave. I'll be hanged like an innocent. That's flat.
I'll not see my shame. Hemp instead of quack saliver. You shall put out mine eyes, and my head shall be bought to make inkhorns of.
You do confess the murder.
Sir, 'tis true, done by a faithless Christian and a Jew.
To prison with them, we will hear no further. The tongue betrays the heart of guilty Mirtha.
Okay, setting aside some of the insults being flung at the end there, which, seems to be more structural than we had anticipated or we were discussing before. Isn't this a fun scene? I really want to ask about just how old is Mendoza and Lady Lentulus? Because it's this question of is he of an age where he shouldn't be doing this kind of trying to climb up balconies kind of stuff, and that there is this comic element to his injuries, because it seems quite cruel actually in that sense. But then we also have this business later on of these two cuckolded men. Oh, they think they're cuckolded. Just going, well, I'd much rather people think we're murderers than anything else. So just going, yeah, that's a much better option. We're happy to go for. And so this society that is being painted here is just fascinating. Thoughts from the room, because it's a genuinely funny scene. Just poor the groans and the stage directions. Helen.
Yeah, Lady Lentulus is not good at tying on rope ladders. I mean, that I think is, I don't think he's particularly good at climbing them, but she was never in the Girl Guides.
But it does seem game to take a running jump to join his fate there as well.
And to avoid her vow by not opening her door.
Yeah.
I mean, this is equivocation.
Yeah, and we've got these two teams of people trying to preserve their reputation. So he's there lying, dying, and what's her? Please die somewhere else.
Yeah, but he crawls from in front of her house to in front of the house of her two next door neighbours, where the non-adultery is taking place.
Yeah. It's a very clever scene. I have to say, I am enjoying most of it enormously. Other thoughts in the room? I think I saw Rachael waving. I could be wrong.
I was going to bring up that Lady Lentulus is like, please don't bleed on my carpet or dirty my reputation. Get out. Type trying to
somewhere else.
the part with the anti-Semitism stuff, it's one of those things where, like, in the other one, if I know the room's divided, but my interpretation of it was that Mammon was anti-Semitic. I think this is a little different type of anti-Semitism because it seems not a caricature, but this is like the real way that people are anti-Semitic to people is that they say it in this.
Yes, we've got.
This isn't really taking it.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily the play view. This is a character's view that's within a play. I mean, it may also be the play view, but this is action of character, and we're not necessarily supposed to like this about these characters. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say it's more equal footing. Like Mizaldus isn't as much of a caricature. Like he's somebody who I feel what do you call it? That he's converted and he's trying to conform to whatever, I don't know if he's from this place that he's moved to, but it seems like he's very different and he's trying to conform to whatever these standards. And this is like I think there's character there to like dig into there, because this anti-Semitism might be part of the reason these two hate each other and are mortal enemies, because the one guy doesn't want to put up with the anti-Semitism and the other guy has a thing against him for that.
Other thoughts from the room on that, or other things? Elizabeth and Eric.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how you would stage Mendoza's fall, because we have this really almost like it's supposed to be this really romantic scene, and as he gets to like the top, he just like falls down. And I was wondering, like, how would you stage it? Would you have him like swinging from the rope ladder, trying to stay up, or would you have him just drop all the way down?
Well, I mean, this is one to be asking Alexandra, I think. I mean, personally, it depends on how. It also depends on the actor, what they're capable to do safely, what is safely to organise, but also depending partly on how old we're depicting the characters as, because then the impact of a fall is fundamentally different. I think it's a great question. I mean, in an ideal world, from as high as possible, but in practice, probably not very high. Or you cheat it so that it sounds dramatic, so that when they land, they make a whacking great thunk on a stage, but isn't actually from very high.
I just do the whole thing on a trampoline.
No, that's brilliant.
Mendoza keeps coming back. Eric, did you wave?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I just like the image of the captain being standing between Mizaldus and Claridiana, going, "No, please, just listen. Okay, take them away, because they're not shutting up about this kind of thing. They're just being completely, yeah."
Yes, Lois.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I mean, one about the anti-Semitic bit. I mean, oddly enough, I don't think Mizaldus ever responds to it. And he doesn't either say, yes, my ancestry is Jewish, but I'm now Christian, so shut up. Or yes, I am a Jew, but, and, whatever. I mean, he just acts really as if it's just one more insult. So I don't know quite what that means. The other thing is just, I do find it terribly funny that Lady Lentulus at the end says, "I'll see you tomorrow," when she thinks he's dying. I mean, where is she going to see him? The morgue.
Any other thoughts before we move on? Helen.
Yes, Mizaldus does at one point say, "As I am a Catholic, as I am a Christian." He does have one speech in which he doesn't mention Judaism, but he's very firm that he is a Catholic Christian.
It does seem like that he's converted by some of the way it's hinted at. I mean, it's like, "I'm as good a Christian as thyself, though my wife have now new christened me." Obviously, is an effective joke. I mean, it's almost like you could say the whole setup has been to set up for that particular series of exchanges. So that seems to be maybe where it's going on that. Is that that's his heritage, and that he's converted. But we may get more data on that. Eric, and then we'll move on.
Just like the sort of simplicity of the sort of this is not like proper CSI Arden and Faversham, where they kind of went, yes, and we'll find the tracks from the murder, and then where the body points to and all that. It's just sort of like, okay, they confessed, they did it.
Yeah, you need the citizens from Two Lamentable Tragedies. They would have figured out who the murderer was. They would have followed all the clues. I'm assuming there should be some marks on the ground as he's dragged himself across the state. Blood. I don't know. Anyway, we've got two willing confessees, so they've confessed because shame is obviously really high up the agenda in this society. Shame is a really big thing. So let's go into Act 3, Scene 2, and see if we have more to play with. As we go to the elopes, enter Count Rogero, Isabella, Anna, and servants.
Welcome to Pavy Sweet, and may this kiss chase melancholy from thy company. Speak, my soul's joy, how fare you after travel?
Like one that scapeth danger on the seas, yet trembles with cold fears, being safe on land, with bare imagination of what's past.
Fear keepeth cowards, as stars cannot move.
Fear in this kind, my lord, doth sweeten love.
To think fear joy, dear, I cannot conjecture.
Fears, sire, to fervency, which makes love sweet prove nectar. Trembling desire, fear, hope, and doubtful leisure, distill from love the quintessence of pleasure.
Madam, I yield to you. Fear keeps with love. My oratory is too weak against you. You have the ground of knowledge, wise experience, which makes your argument invincible.
You are time's scholar, and can flatter weakness.
Custom allows it, and we plainly see princes and women maintain flattery.
Anna, go see my jewels and my trunks be aptly placed in their several rooms.
And at this point, exit Anna, and we have the entrance of Gniaca, Count of Gozia with attendants.
My lord, know you this gallant? 'Tis a complete gentleman.
I do, 'tis Count Gniaca, my endeared friend.
Welcome to Pavy. Welcome, fairest lady. Your sight, dear friend, is life's restorative. This day is the period of long-wished content. More welcome to me than day to the world, night to the wearied, or gold to the miser. Such joy fuels friendship in society.
A rare-shaped man. Compare them both together.
Carry on.
Our loves are friendly twins, both at a birth. The joy you taste, that joy do I conceive, this day's jubilee of my desire.
He's fairer than he was when I first saw him. This little time makes him more excellent.
Relates... No, I'm not on in this scene.
No, that should be Naka. I apologise.
Relate some news. Hark you, what lady's that? Be open-breasted, so will I to thee.
And Gniaca and Rogero have a little whisper to one side.
Error did blind him that paints love blind, for my love plainly judges difference. Love is clear-sighted and with eagle's eyes, undazzled, looks upon bright sun-beamed beauty. Nature did rob herself when she made him, blushing to see her work excel herself. 'Tis shape makes mankind femelcy. Forgive me, Count Rogero, 'tis my fate to love thy friend and quit thy love with hate. I must enjoy him. Let hope thy passions smother. Faith cannot cool blood. I'll clip him, wert my brother. Such is the heat of my sincere affection, hell nor earth can keep love in subjection.
I crave your honour's pardon. My ignorance of what you were may gain a courteous pardon.
There needs no pardon where there's no offence. His tongue strikes music, ravishing my sense. I must be sudden, else desire confounds me.
What sport affords this climate for delight?
We'll hawk and hunt today, as for tomorrow variety shall feed variety.
Dissimulation women's armour is, aid love, belief, and female constancy. Oh, I am sick, my lord. Kind Rogero, help me.
Offended heaven! Madam, sit, how fare you? My life's best comfort speak. Oh, speak, sweet saint.
Fetch art to keep life. Run, my love! I faint. My vital breath runs coldly through my veins. I see lean death with eyes imaginary stand fearfully before me. Here, my end, a wife unconstant, yet thy loving friend.
As swift as thought fly I to wish thee aid.
And exit Rogero.
Thus, innocence by craft is soon betrayed. My Lord Nesha. Nesha? What did we go for? Gniaca? Gniaca. My Lord Gniaca, 'tis your art must heal me. I am lovesick for your love. Love for loving. I blush for speaking truth. Fair sir, believe me, beneath the moon, naught but your frown can grieve me.
Lady, by heaven, methinks this fit is strange.
Count not my love light for this sudden change. By Cupid's bow I swear and will avow I never knew true, perfect love till now.
Wrong not yourself, me and your dearest friend. Your love is violent and soon will end. Love is not love unless love doth persever that love is perfect love that loves forever.
Such love is mine. Believe it, well-shaped youth. Though women used to lie, yet I speak truth. Give sentence for my life or speedy death. Can you affect me?
I should belie my thoughts to give denial, but then to friendship I must turn disloyal. I will not wrong my friend. Let that suffice.
I'll be a miracle. For love, a woman dies.
And she offers to stab herself.
Hold, madam. These are soul-killing passions. I'd rather wrong my friend than you yourself.
Love me, or else by Jove, death's but delayed. My vow is fixed in heaven. Fear shall not move me. My life is death with tortures, lest you love me.
Give me some respite, and I will resolve you.
My heart denies it. My blood is violent, now or else never. Love me! And like love's queen, I'll fall before thee, enticing dalliance from thee with my smiles, and steal thy heart with my delicious kisses. I'll study art in love, that in a rapture thy souls shall taste pleasures excelling nature. Love me. Both art and nature in large recompense shall be profuse in ravishing thy sense.
You have prevailed. I am yours from all the world. Thy wit and beauty have entranced my soul. I long for dalliance. My blood burns like fire. Hell's pain on earth is to delay desire.
I kiss thee for that breath. This day you hunt. In midst of all your sports, leave you, Rogero. Return to me, whose life rests in thy sight, where pleasure shall make nectar our delight.
I condescend to what thy will implores me. He that but now neglected thee adores thee. But here comes my friend. Fear makes him tremble.
Enter Rogero, Anna, and a doctor.
Women are witless that cannot dissemble. Now I am sick again. Where's my lord Rogero? His love and my health vanish both together.
Wrong not thy friend, dear friend, in thy extremes. Here's a profound Hippocrates, my dear, to administer to thee the spirit of health.
Your sight to me, my lord, excels all physic. I am better far, my love, than when you left me. Your friend was comfortable to me at the last. 'Twas but a fit, my lord, and now 'tis past. Are all things ready, sir?
Yes, madame, the house is fit.
Desire in women is the life of wit.
And they exit. So, the bell tolls once again on Isabella. I don't know if people are getting a sense of what's going on with Isabella here. See what thoughts are sort of anyone wants to throw in here at this stage. I'll go to Emma. Yes, Emma, you've been Isabella for a while now. How are you feeling?
Yeah, that scene was so much fun. I just enjoyed. She's a great actress, a great manipulator. I think she's really having fun in all of this, and she's bringing the audience with her as well, kind of saying, right, now I need to act a little bit now in order to achieve this. So watch me do that. I'm really good at that. And it's just, she's so funny.
Other thoughts? Eric?
I can just imagine her going like really bad acting. Like, look, I'm acting now. And sort of just like, delineating it that way. And then obviously the other people in the room are too worried or, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's something very performative about all of this. Is that this is effectively a game. Is who's next? It's like we have this rotating lineup who's going to come through. and that's the game that's going on here. Just a question of what we do with this game and how it lands and our thoughts about it. Helen, then Briony.
Yeah, if I was the page, I'd be getting nervous. But I mean, the thing is that her activities are what in a man we would call predatory or lecherous or just what one would expect from a man. The reason that it is so appalling as far as the play is concerned is that it's a woman who's doing it. And it's because a woman's honor lies in not doing it that women have to be prevented from following their humors.
Briony.
Yeah, I don't know, there's something, I'm a bit tentative because he always gets me in this middle session, always. But there's something different about the feel of this to me. Like he's always quite cynical about love in the stuff that we've read. But I don't know, this is the first one that has really made me think, who hurt you, Marston? Who made you this way? But maybe that's going to come back to bite me and it's all going to be part of something else, probably.
That maybe not, but I'm sure it will make an excellent discussion point at the end of Thursday when we elucidate some things about this particular text. Lynn.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm not going to be very articulate. I think Helen's right that I'm not sure what the play is doing, but certainly society condemned and continues to condemn women who enjoy multiple partners. But on the other hand, there's also that patterning that we've talked about in plays attributed to Marston before, where at first there was this contrast between Isabella and Lady Lentulus, who was a big holdout, and then it turns out maybe not so much. But I do think there's a contrast between the objects of Isabella's affection and Abigail and Thais, who pretend to give in to their illicit lovers' wooing, but then play the old switcheroo. And I think it's striking how easily swayed the men that Isabella wants are. Sorry, my sentence structure kind of broke down there. But yeah, they all kind of give right in, even though they know it's wrong. So you don't exactly admire Rogero or Gniaca either.
Yes, I mean the other thing is, of course, this is all people doing things behind people's back. It's not inherently. There's one thing to be discussing agency, and there's the other thing that we are talking about, a series of betrayals as well. So there are those things as well, especially in this society that is being painted, which is all about reputation and shame, and we can't expect that the men in this society are going to react well. So we're expecting this society to do some really nasty things as we go forward, which is perhaps giving us pause for thought about where this play is going to take us, because this isn't a nice world. It's not a balanced world at all. Eric.
Well, also her methods have changed. She goes from sort of, mourning her husband to, okay, after marriage, she basically, someone falls on her and then, she threatens to kill herself, which is quite an escalation in my mind.
Yeah. So, let us, however, take a divertissement as we return to the B-plot and the element of the B-plot that we were enjoying so much last time, as we rejoin Abigail and this at several doors. So, Act 3, Scene 3.
Oh, partner, I am with child of laughter, and none but you can be my midwife. Was there ever such a game at Noddy?
Our husbands think they are foremen of the jury. They hold the heretic point of predestination, and sure they are born to be hanged.
They're like to prove men of judgment, but not for killing of him that's yet alive and well recovered.
As soon as my man saw the watch come up, all his spirit was down.
But though they have made us good sport in speech, they did hinder us of good sport in action. Oh, wench, imagination is strong in pleasure.
That's true, for the opinion my good man had of enjoying you made him do wonders.
Why should a weak man that is so soon satisfied desire variety?
Their answer is, to feed on pheasants continually would breed a loathing.
Then if we seek for strange flesh that have stomachs at will, 'tis pardonable.
Aye, if men had any feeling of it, but they judge us by themselves.
Well, we will bring them to the gallows, and then, like kind virgins, beg their lives, and after live at our pleasures, and this bridal shall still reign them.
Faith, if we were disposed, we might sin as safe as if we had the broad steel to warrant it. But that night's work will stick by me this 40 weeks. Come, shall we go visit the discontented Lady Lentulus, whom the Lord Mendoza has confessed to his chagrin he would have robbed? I thought great men would but have robbed the poor, yet he the rich.
He thought that the rich are purchased, though with worse conscience, but we'll to comfort her, and then go hear our husband's lamentations. They say mine has compiled an ungodly volume of satires against women, and calls his book The Snarl.
But he's in hope his book will save him.
God defend that it should, or any that snarl in that fashion.
Well, wench, if I could be metamorphosed into thy shape, I should have my husband pliant to me in his life, and soon rid of him, for being weary with his continual motion, he'd die of a consumption.
Make much of him for all our wanton price. Follow the proverb, merry be and wise.
And they exit. So Mendoza is not dead. But he does seem to be giving a slightly different account of what he was up to. Once again, unless they're talking in code, it seems like he's given his reason of it was a robbery, not a robbery of another nature, unless I say that it's an innuendo. You can never be sure. So yeah, everybody's lying about what they're really doing because that's the better lie in this society is that. So yeah, they've this little jape has come out quite well for them, or at least so far. Of course, maybe it will not all come to pass. We shall see. Briony.
I just quite enjoyed the tone shift of that scene. It went a bit kind of Sex and City, ladies brunching, talking about their conquests.
Yeah. Lynn.
Yeah, what does she say? That for the opinion of my good man had of enjoying you made him do wonders. I choked on my own spittle when she read that. It's like, oh my God, this is like so great and so dirty and so I don't know the women are so smart and so street smart, that like they think we're as bad as they are. That's why they're suspicious of us. Yeah, I just but this is really one for the record books.
Briony.
Okay, like
Just this kind of way he has of not really empowering the women, but just making them as bad as the men, I guess, and as clever and as capable of playing the system as the men are, and I like that.
The author is creating interesting things at this moment. Lois.
Yeah, I love the idea of somebody writing an anti-women book called The Snarl. I mean, it is fairly close to some of the titles of satiric poems that were coming out. Also, they're sort of pun on his hoping to be saved by his book, which I take it means pleading, by the book literacy to get out of being hanged. The next verse.
Yes, I was wondering if there's a very deliberate satire going on with that line about the snarl. It feels very pointed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, it was a short scene. We enjoyed it. Eric, any more? And then Lynn, any more?
I was just wondering if we know if Marston wrote any prose or pamphlets, because it would just be sort of hilarious if he was twitting himself, like he's written satires. He's actually referring to his own.
Oh, he has. Yeah.
Yes, Lois, if you want to elaborate, that's within scope of this session. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. No. His early publications. Well, his first publication was a poem about the metamorphosis of Pygmalion, but then he wrote a satire, saying everybody thought that was a dirty poem, but actually it was a satire on dirty poems. So there. And then he wrote a whole lot of other satires. I think just called satires, and then let's see, what were they called? In fact, the Scourge of Villainy, and then the whole idea that the satirist is whipping villainy. Then there's a whole string of satires by various people about whipping and stripping of satires, and another one called No Whipping Nor Stripping, but a Kind Friendly Snipping. Anyway, they all got in on the act.
So yeah, there may be something meta going on there with the author. Eric, and then Helen.
Say I did like the callback to the previous scene where Abigail goes, "Why should a weak man that is so soon satisfied desire variety?" And then obviously in the previous scene we heard Gniaca someone say, variety feeds variety, of course.
Helen.
Yeah, there's a swipe at Calvinism, the heretic point of predestination.
Yeah,
not that that's something that'll translate into anything modern.
Yes, there's that question of what can we take with us on our journey, and what things quietly do we shove under the carpet. Still a lot more to find out. Let us return to the A plot. I'm sure it's all going well. Act 3, Scene 4. Enter Isabella, Anna, and servants.
Time that devourest all mortality, run swiftly these few hours, and bring Gniaca on thy aged shoulders, that I may clip the rarest model of creation. Do this, gentle time, and I will curl thine aged silver lock, and dally with thee in delicious pleasure. Medea-like, I will renew thy youth. But if thy frozen steps delay my love, I'll poison thee, with murder curse thy paths, and make thee know a time of infamy. Anna, give watch, and bring me certain notice when Count Gniaca doth approach my house.
Madame, I go. I am kept for pleasure, though I never taste it, for 'tis the usher's office still to cover his lady's private meetings with her lover.
Exit, Anna.
Desire, thou quenchless flame that burnst our souls, cease to torment me. The dew of pleasure shall put out thy fire, and quite consume thee with satiety. Lust shall be cooled with lust, wherein I'll prove the life of love is only saved by love.
And enter Anna.
Madame, he's coming.
Thou blessed Mercury, prepare a banquet fit to please the gods. Let sphere-like music breathe delicious tones into our mortal ears. Perfume the house with odoriferous scents, sweeter than myrrh, or all the spices in Panchaea. His sight and touching we will recreate, that his 5 senses shall be 5-fold happy. His breath, like roses, casts out sweet perfume. Time now with pleasure shall itself consume.
By which point Gniaca has entered in his hunting weeds.
How like Adonis in his hunting weeds looks this same goddess tempter. And art thou come? This kiss entrance thy soul. This kiss entrance thy soul. Gods, I do not envy you, for know this, ways here on earth complete excels your bliss. I'll not change this night's pleasure with you all.
Thou creature made by love, composed of pleasure that makest true use of thy creation. In thee both wit and beauty's resident. Delightful pleasure, unpeered excellence. That this is the fate fixed fast unto thy birth, that thou alone shouldst be man's heaven on earth. If I alone may but enjoy thy love, I'll not change earthly joy to be heaven's Jove. For though the women haters are common, they all shall know earth's joy consists in woman.
My love was dotage till I loved thee, for thy soul truly tastes our petulance. Condition's lover, Cupid's intelligencer, that makes man understand what pleasure is. These are fit tributes unto thy knowledge. For women's beauty o'er men bear that rule. Our power commands the rich, the wise, the fool. Though scorn grows big in man, in growth and stature, yet women are the rarest works of nature.
I do confess the truth, and must admire them. Women can command rare man's desire.
Cease admiration, sit to Cupid's feast, the preparation to Paphian dalliance, harmonious music, breathe thy silver airs, to stir up appetite to Venus' banquet. That breath of pleasure that entrances souls, making that instant happiness a heaven, in the true taste of love's deliciousness.
Their words are able to stir cold desire into his flesh that lies entombed in ice, having lost the feeling of warmth in blood. And how much more in me, whose youthful veins like a proud river overflow their bounds. Pleasure's ambrosia, or love's nourisher, I long for privacy. Come, let us in. 'Tis custom and not reason makes love sin.
I'll lead the way to Venus' paradise, where thou shalt taste that fruit that made man wise.
Exit Isabella.
Sing notes of pleasure to elate our blood. Why should heaven frown on joys that do us good? I come, Isabella, keeper of love's treasure, to force thy blood to lust and ravish pleasure.
And exit Gniaca. A short song is sung by the page they were talking about earlier. So some Barry White's on to presumably cover what's going on off stage, because in a moment enter Isabella and Gniaca again. She hanging about his neck lasciviously. So I don't know how long we need to hold this music cue. I don't know whether anyone wants to give a timing of their opinion of Gniaca here, of what's been going on there. Anyway, they return lasciviously.
Still I am thy captive, yet thy thoughts are free. To be love's bondsman is true liberty. I have swum in seas of pleasure without ground. Venturous desire past depth itself hath drowned. Such skill has beauty's art in a true lover, that dead desire to life it can recover. Thus beauty our desire can soon advance, then straight again kill it with dalliance. Divinest women, your enchanting breaths give lovers many lives and many deaths.
May thy desire to me for ever last, not die, but surfeit on my delicates. And as I tie this jewel about thy neck, so may I tie thy constant love to mine, never to seek weaking variety, that greedy curse of man and woman's hell, where naught but shame and loathed diseases dwell.
You counsel well, dear. Learn it then, for change is given more to you than men.
My faith to thee, like rocks, shall never move. The sun shall change his course ere I my love.
And enter Anna.
Madame, the Count Rogero knocks.
Dear love, into my chamber till I send my hate from sight.
Lust makes me rob my friend.
And exit Gniaca.
Anna, stand here and entertain Lord Rogero. I from my window straight will give him answer. The serpent's wit to woman rest in me. By that man fell, then why not he by me? Faint sighs and tears drop from a woman's eye, blinds man of reason, strikes his knowledge dumb. Wit arms a woman. Count Rogero, come.
And exit Isabella. But we're going to pause there mid-scene because, yes, it's getting a bit steamy here. Is getting his Gniaca news in a twist. Yeah. Thoughts in the room? Anyone want to leap in, as it were, on any of that progress? Obviously, we have the other eloper waiting to come in, so we've paused at a dramatic moment. Anyone want to comment on Isabella and her love? It's quite steamy stuff. Steamy stuff. Emma.
I think this is really interesting because Isabella is basically casting herself in the role of Venus. And so the play is kind of exploring what happens when you give a human character the same agency and the same behaviors as one of the gods. I think that's really interesting. What does that do? I mean, I don't know all the answers yet, but that seems to be what it's exploring.
Well, it's Venus, but it's also shades of Eve as well, with that, like, thou shalt taste the fruit that made man wise.
Yeah.
And so there's which is a sort of forewarning, perhaps, of where we might be going. That, maybe these characters know that, this is a fool's paradise. And, Gniaca has some sense of shame going on here. Lust makes me wrong my friend. Yes, of course. You only just figure that out. Eric.
Well, I was just going to go on about the classical references where you've got Medea, who actually gets away with pretty much everything she does because she's a witch. And then you've got Adonis, who basically gets gored by a boar while hunting, which is not great in this context. I was just also going to mention that the whole bit about you counsel well, dear, learn it then, for change is given more to you than men, reminded me of that whole play, Women in the Moon by John Lilly, which is a bit sort of, sort of how changeable women are because they're subject to the gods, which was kind of a bit weird and misogynistic.
Briony, then Rachael.
I find the Eve references really interesting because I feel like John Marston kind of, his work tends to my mind, it's like he's bucking this idea that women are the cause of original sin, of everything, basically, all bad things, it's women's fault. And it's more, in his eyes, that they're as bad as each other. Men and women, that is.
Yes, I don't see that there's a particularly wide range of moral variations in this play. In the sense, there's everybody's doing something, but it's more about what they think they can get away with and what society judges them on. That this play is really highlighting for me at the moment. Whether that lands in performance is another question, and whether that's a spin that works. Rachael.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, is the sincerity with which they feel guilt. How much of it, like, because everybody else seems to be really interested in reputation. So do they really feel guilty, or is it, how Gniaca says here, lust makes me wrong my friend. I think you could play with the levels of sincerity by choosing to have, a production choosing to have him say that line to Isabella or say that line to the audience, and play with it that way. Because her bringing up the Eve stuff, there are those people that they love drama, and it's that play of drama and a relationship that keeps them interested. So is this like the dynamic of their relationship, or is it just two people that are very passionate and they don't think things through, or all these different ways a production could try and discuss what the relationship between all these different characters that are involved in this love square.
And remember, then they never explicitly talk about Eve. I mean, this is the thing: when you're not going, the player this time is not going to be doing explicit references in that way. It's more implicit in the way they're discussing things. So that's not. I don't think it's actually voiced, unless I missed any. It's a more tangential thing, because you don't talk about pucker religion in plays anymore. It's far too dangerous. Not allowed. Not allowed.
Nevertheless, I think she did.
Yeah. Did she actually mention Eve? Did I?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Was there? I didn't see. I was just looking at something about Venus and looking at going, oh, that's clearly Eve. I missed that. I apologise. Rachael.
The Venus, the double play, I think sometimes between Venus and the Morning Star being also Lucifer, perhaps that's a little way for them to get around that little religious thing. Or maybe it's a combination of the both. What do you call it? You know how in morality plays, even if they're not in fashion anymore, the people who are doing the bad stuff and they go down the bad way, they seem to really enjoy it. I wonder if there's a lot of enjoyability, if she knows what she's doing is wrong. Not to say it is wrong, what I'm saying, but like that there's some love of doing the thing that people tell her not to do and bucking, what is expected of chastity or marriage from women.
Anyway, the scene is not over. Let us conclude it before we go into our final scene. So everybody has cleared the stage apart from Anna, and there's some knocking off stage. There'll be some more knocking in a moment, but in the stage direction. We can assume Rogero is knocking away. Anna, take it away.
My office still is under, yet in time. Ushers prove masters, degrees make us climb.
Rogero knocks.
Who knocks? Is't you, my noble lord?
Enter Rogero in his hunting weeds.
Come, my friend, hither, Count Gniaca.
No, my good lord.
Where's my Isabella?
In her chamber.
Good, I'll visit her.
The chamber's locked, my lord. She will be private.
Locked against me, my saucy malapert?
Be patient, good lord. She'll give you answer.
Isabella, life of love, speak, it is I that calls.
And Isabella above at her window.
I must desire your lordship pardon me.
Lordship? What's this? Isabella, art thou blind?
My lord, my lust was blind, but now my soul's clear-sighted, and sees the spots that did corrupt my flesh. Those tokens sent from hell, brought by desire, the messenger of everlasting death.
My lady's in her pulpit now shall preach.
Is not thy lady mad? In verity, I always took her for a Puritan, and now she shows it.
Mock not repentance. Profanation brings mortals laughing to damnation. Believe it, Lord. Isabella's ill past life, like gold refined, shall make a perfect wife. I stand on firm ground now, before on ice. We know not virtue till we taste of vice.
Do you hear dissimulation, woman sinner?
Leave my house, good my lord, and for my part, I look for a most wished reconciliation betwixt myself and my most wronged husband. Tempt not contrition then, religious lord.
Indeed, I was one of your family once, but do not I know these are but brain tricks, and where the devil has the fee simple, he'll keep possession, and will you hold before me that yourself has made a cripple?
Nay, then, you wrong me, and, disdained lord, I paid then for thy pleasures vendible, whose mercenary flesh I bought with coin. I will divulge thy baseness, lest with speed thou leave my house and my society.
Already turned apostate, but now all pure, now damned your faith is, and your loves endure like dew upon the grass. Whence pleasure's sun shines on your virtues, all your virtues done. I'll leave thy house and thee, go, get thee in, thou gaudy child of pride and nurse of sin.
Rail not on me, my lord, for if you do, my hot desire of vengeance shall strike wonder. Revenge in women falls like dreadful thunder.
And Isabella retreats back into the house.
Your lordship will command me no further service.
I thank thee for thy watchful service past, thy usher-like attendance on the stairs, being true signs of thy humility.
I hope I did discharge my place with care.
Ushers should have much wit, but little hair. Thou hast of both sufficient. Prithee, leave me. If thou hast an honest lady, commend me to her, but she is none.
And exit Anna. Doesn't look like she managed to get a tip there.
Farewell, thou private strumpet, worse than common. Man were on earth an angel but for woman. that sevenfold branch of hell from them doth grow. Pride, lust, and murder they raise from below. With all their fellow sins, women are made of blood without souls. When their beauties fade, and their lusts past, avarice or bawdry makes them still loved, then they buy venery, bribing damnation, and hire brothel slaves. Shames their executor. Infamy their graves, your painting will wipe off which heart did hide, and show your ugly shape in spite of pride. Farewell, Isabella, poor in soul and fame, I leave thee rich in nothing but in shame. Then, soulless women, know, whose faith are hollow, your lust being quenched, a bloody act must follow.
And exit the patriarchy there. So... Yeah, I mean, the excuse that Isabella uses is that she wants to go back to her husband and return to, forget their dalliance, and his response is, not good, not good at all. What a git. So yeah. I mean, obviously she's telling a lie, but it's actually quite a good lie. It's the kind of lie that should diffuse the situation, and he should just go, "Oh well, it was fun while it lasted. But yeah, you should probably return to your husband." And no, he doesn't. He puts all the blame on her in that entirely one-sided way. Briony.
I was just really puzzled by the line about ushers should have much wit but little hair. Is he saying that they should be clever but young? The hair thing kind of puzzled me a bit, because obviously Anna's female, and generally speaking, I am bucking a trend with my hairstyle here. So I presumed it meant a different kind of hair, but I don't know.
I assume that
go Lynn.
hair loss is a common symptom of late stage syphilis. So they should, they've also participated in promiscuous illicit sex, picked up venereal disease, and lost their hair. I'm assuming that's what that is talking about.
Yeah, it's also, I think, proverbial about wit and hair. So I think it's something. It's a turn of phrase that's slightly dropped out of our lexicon. So it's not as obscure then, but it is a bit now. Helen, then Lois.
Well, no, Lois.
Oh, Lois, then Helen.
Well, I found it really puzzling that Anna keeps talking as if she were a man. In fact, I mean, ushers are normally men, and she keeps talking like one. And yet she's apparently, I mean, her name is Anna, so I don't know what's going on here.
The issues of names in this play are manifold. But yeah, there's an interesting logic there, because it's like Anna's basically just standing there asking for a tip in this way that's quite jarring. I mean, that's not quite what she's doing, but there's the nature of that slightly jaded servant role is quite interesting. Helen.
Yeah, I mean, anybody's servant would make far more out of tips than they would out of their annual stipend, I think, in this time. So, I mean, I think it'd be unusual if a maidservant of a lady would not be getting a handsome income from the lady's lover. But what I wanted to say was that Rogero has actually lost a lot, because Rogero as a man of standing, as a count, whatever, by running away with another man's wife, has done himself a lot of damage in his own social standing and in religion. So, I mean, I think to say that, he should have just taken it and gone. I mean, partly I think he may not believe it, but partly I think it would have been nice if you'd discussed it with me, is what he's also saying.
Other thoughts on that? Rachael, then Alan, and then we need to move on to the final scene of the session.
Yeah, this was my assumption that Anna was actually a man, but that might just be because in the mystery cycles, you have Annas and Caiaphas. So yeah.
Alan.
I must admit, I'm seeing Anna being played rather like Nursey in the Elizabethan period Blackadder. You know, the older lady who possibly was Isabella's nurse when she was young, and has learned to put up with her foibles over a very extended period of time.
Okay, let's go into Act 4. So Act 3 has ended with Rogero being, and then we'll go into Act 4, Scene 1, and we have a Duke, who we've not met before. Enter the Duke, Imago, the Captain, the rest of the Watch, and there's some senators as well, so lots of people on, and hopefully the names that people will refer to will match the text. Slight risk of that not happening correctly here.
Justice that makes princes like the gods draws us unto the Senate, that with impartial balance we may poise the crimes and innocence of all offenders. Our presence can chase bribery from laws. He best can judge that hears himself the cause.
I'm number 2, right?
Lois, you're number 1.
Oh, I'm number 1. Oh, sorry.
Elizabeth is number 2.
Oh, right. Okay. True, mighty Duke. It best becomes our places to have our light from you, the sum of virtue. Subject authority for gain, love, or fear oft quits the guilty and condemns the clear.
The land and people's mine. The crimes being known, I must redress my subjects' wrongs. Mine own. Call for the 2 suspected for the murder of Mendoza, our endeared kinsman. These voluntary murderers that confess the murder of him that is yet alive. We'll sport with serious justice for a while. In show we'll frown on them that make us smile.
Bring forth the prisoners, we may hear their answers.
And the officers they're going to bring in, Claridiana and Mizaldus.
Stand forth, you vipers, you that have sucked blood and lopped a branch sprung from a royal tree. What can you answer to escape tortures?
We have confessed the fact, my lord, to God and man, our ghostly father and that worthy captain. We beg not life, but favorable death.
On what grounds sprung your hate to him we loved?
Upon that curse laid on Venetians, jealousy. We thought he, being a courtier, would have made us magnificos of the right stamp, and have played primero in the presence with the gold of the city brought from our Indies.
Nay, more, my lord, we feared that your kinsman, for a mess of sonnets, would have given the plot of us and our wives to some needy poet, and for sport and profit brought us in some Venetian comedy upon the stage.
Our justice dwells with mercy. Be not desperate.
His Highness fain would save your lives if you would see it.
All the law in Venice shall not save me. I will not be saved.
Fear not, I have a trick to bring us to hanging in spite of the law.
Why, now I see thou lovest me. Thou hast confirmed thy friendship forever to me by these words. Why, I should never hear lanthorn and candle called for, but I should think it was for me and my wife. I'll hang for that, forget not thy trick. Upon with thy trick I long for sentence.
Will you appeal for mercy to the Duke?
Kill not thy justice, Duke, to save our lives. We have deserved death.
Make not us precedents for after wrongs. I will receive punishment for my sins. It shall be a means to lift me towards the heavens.
Let's have our desert. We crave no favor.
Take them asunder. Great justice makes us mirth. That man is soulless that ne'er smiled on earth. Signor Rogero, relate the weapon you killed him with, and the manner. Oh, sorry, Signor Mizaldus, relate the weapon you killed him with, and the manner.
My lord, your lustful kinsman, I can title him no better, came sneaking to my house like a promoter to spy flesh in the Lent. Now I, having a Venetian spirit, watched my time, and with my rapier run him through, knowing all pains are but trifles to the horn of a citizen.
Take him aside. Signor Claridiana, what weapon had you for this bloody act? What dart used death?
My lord, I brained him with a cleaver my neighbor lent me, and he stood by and cried, "Strike home, old boy."
With several instruments. Bring them face to face. With what killed you, our nephew?
With a rapier, liege.
'Tis a lie. I killed him with a cleaver, and thou stoodst by.
Dost think to save me and hang thyself? No, I scorn it. Is this the trick thou saidst thou hadst? I killed him, Duke. He only gave consent. 'Twas I that did it.
Thou hast always been cross to me, and wilt be to my death. Have I taken all this pains to bring thee to hanging, and dost thou slip now?
We shall never agree in a tale till we come to the gallows. Then we shall jump.
I'll show you a cross point if you cross me thus, when thou shalt not see it.
I'll make a wry mouth at that, or it shall cost me a fall. 'Tis thy pride to be hanged alone, because thou scornst my company. But it shall be known I am as good a man as thyself, and in these actions will keep company with thy betters, Jew.
Monster!
Dog killer!
Fencer!
And they bustle.
Part them! Part them!
Hang us and quarter us! We shall ne'er be parted till then.
You do confess the murder done by both?
But that I would not have the slave laugh at me and count me a coward, I have a good mind to live. But I am resolute. 'Tis but a turn. I do confess.
So do I. Pronounce our doom. We are prepared to die.
We sentence you to hang till you be dead. Since you were men eminent in place and worth, we give a Christian burial to you both.
Not in one grave together, we beseech you, we shall ne'er agree.
He scorns my company till the day of judgment. I'll not hang with him.
You hang together? That shall make you friends. An everlasting hatred death soon ends. To prison with them till the death. King's words, like fate, must never change their breath.
You malice monger, I'll be hanged afore thee, and to be but to vex thee.
I'll do you as good a turn, or the hangman and I shall fall out.
And the two prisoners are exit guarded.
Now, to our kinsman, shame to royal blood, bring him before us.
And enter Mendoza, not dead, in his nightcap and gown, nightgown and cap, guarded with the captain.
Theft in a prince is sacrilege to honour. 'Tis virtue scandal, death of royalty. I blush to see my shame. Nephew, sit down. Justice that smiles on thee, on those on him must frown. Speak freely, Captain. Where found you him wounded?
Have I not given out a captain?
That's me.
Yeah.
between the widow's house and these cross neighbours, besides an artificial ladder made of ropes, was fastened to her window, which he confessed he brought to rob her of jewels and coin. My knowledge yields no further circumstance.
Thou know'st too much. Would I were past all knowledge, I might forget my grief springs from my shame. Thou monster of my blood, answering brief to these assertions made against thy life, is thy soul guilty of so base a fact?
I do confess I did intend to rob her. In the attempt I fell and hurt myself. Law's thunder is but death. I dread it not. So my Lentulus honour be preserved from black suspicion of a lustful night.
Thy head's thy forfeit for thy heart's offence. Thy blood's prerogative may claim that favour. Thy person then to death, doomed by just laws. Thy death is infamous, but worse the cause.
So, a scene of contrasting emotions. Mendoza lying to save the honour of a lady is doomed to death. Meanwhile, for shits and giggles, the Duke is just messing with these two guys' minds, and the turnarounds as they go back and forth, just going, no, we will be best friends forever, and then suddenly, no, I hate you, no, I want to die first, I'm going to make sure I die before you. This weird one-upmanship that's going on, and yeah, it's this fascinating fake trial scene that's going on here. Yeah, and once again we're having this question of Christianity, Jewishness being thrown back and forth. I have to say, I'm increasingly thinking for a modern production of just going for an analogue that they are both rival football supporters, and that actually that's what they're flinging insults at each other by, because you get the same analogue, the same dynamic, and just none of the racism, and that just solves the problem straight away, because otherwise this is just so much fun. And fascinating tonal shifts. Thoughts in the room, Lynn?
Small thing. I think when Mendoza says, "I do confess I did intend to rob her. In the attempt I fell and hurt myself. Law's thunder is but death. I dread it not." That's a line. And then, so my Lentulus honor be preserved from that black suspicion of a lustful night is an aside.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So, yes, explaining to the audience for anyone who's slow or popped out for a pee, that's what's going on here.
Yeah. So, but it's, again, just prodigiously clever, the sort of layers of deception, and the two guys whose names are not that easy to pronounce, Mizaldus and Claridiana. Like, what are you, 10?
Well, so they might have been. Lois.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of intertextuality here. I mean, the bit about cross, point, and fall, for example, which come up in their argument. I think those both refer back. Rogero, it was a cross point, wasn't it, that he was doing when he fell into Isabella's lap? He asks about when that happened. And the whole idea of falling as well. I mean, I think I was looking back at the scene where Mendoza falls off for the balcony or whatever, and he actually says, "Let thunder strike me if I have, lustful intentions." So it is possible that it could be done in a slightly more stylized way, which would also probably be a bit easier to bring off.
Yeah, I have actually got noted of after that line when Mendoza says that, "If I do stain thy honour with foul lust, may thunder strike." Yeah, I just wrote in the margin there. Oh yeah.
SFX.
Yeah, I absolutely am not climbing this balcony to have sex with you. Absolutely, that is not my intention. No. Yes. But yeah, I just love the childishness of we're not going to be buried in the same grave. No, it's so childish. Helen.
Yes, I was very taken by came sneaking to my house like a promoter to spy flesh in the Lent. During Lent, butcher shops were closed and you had to have a special license in order to eat what we would call meat, what they call flesh. And of course there were no police. So the way this was, it was informers, which is what a promoter here means, who got a proportion of the fine.
Mm-hmm.
So he's sneaking into the house.
Yeah, we have this tonal shift. We've gone from high comedy to suddenly, death sentence. No indication the Duke's joking about that. Eric.
Well,
I was just gonna say that this is like he's stolen a scene from Volpone. Well, maybe that's just me. I don't know. Which I've not seen all of. I've just sort of read about it a bit and sort of seen a few scenes from it. But yeah, it just seems very, very similar in structure. Sort of, somebody tricking people into doing stuff, and yeah, and I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Rachael.
No, I was going to say that the Duke does know that they're not guilty because he says
He knows they're not guilty. He doesn't. I don't know if he knows about Mendoza.
Oh. Also, I wanted to ask, what is the special? Who would get a special license for Len to buy meat? What was the purpose of?
You doctor's note.
Yeah, I'll starve if I don't have meat.
Or large backhander.
It's a bit like the letter from his doctor that Churchill took when he visited America during Prohibition, saying that his medical condition demanded regular infusion of alcohol orally.
Right. Lynn, I think. Did I see you waving?
I was just saying, yeah, like the doctors, basically you bribed somebody, right? That, like to get permission.
Yeah, okay. But
okay, we have to. We're into extra time, so let's find final thoughts about this play as a practical proposition. We've got pitfalls. We've got some delightful stuff. We have some really undelightful stuff. Is the worldview of the play distanced enough to make it function? Thoughts from the room. Tamara, any final thoughts?
Aside from being bummed about not being here tomorrow, I think the whole play is fascinating and much more complex than I expected from yesterday's session. So I almost want to go back and read over it again because it's just more intelligent than I thought it would be. And I think also yesterday I just went into it thinking it's a comedy, pure and simple. And now so many things have opened up. I mean, all I've been doing is writing notes and typing notes. So I'm rambling, but I'm a little bit caught out. Let's put it that way, clearly.
It's been that kind of month, really, of plays of being caught out slightly. Rachael, any final thoughts?
I mean, yes, I think, I don't know, today I just laughed so much. I think with the anti-Semitic stuff, a production could choose if they just want to have, the pure entertainment and take the anti-Semitic stuff out, or if they want, it to be entertaining and also talk about social issues or something like that and leave it in, because there is a character in Mizaldus, and that last little bit, it could be like, I was reading in this story once that this woman, she's a talk show host in Japan, and before World War, it takes place, around World War II, before and after. And this young Korean boy starts shouting at her, Korean in the street, because there was prejudice against Korean people in Japan. And she didn't understand why he was shouting that at her, the way he was, as like a bullying thing. and her mother pulled her away and explained to her the whole, racism that he, people had said that to him and pointed at him in the street and taken it, so he had taken his identity, like they, what do you call it? Not reclaiming, they had taken his identity from him and used it as a slur. So maybe that's what, somebody could talk about with leaving that last little bit in there, or just keep it pure entertainment and change it to a sports club.
Though, as we've been noting in the chat, that's not all automatically unproblematic. Choose your sports teams with care. Lois, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's very enjoyable. Actually, something I noticed is that it's usually Claridiana who's calling Mizaldus a Jew, but in fact, the last use of Jew is the other way around. Mizaldus is actually using it toward Claridiana, which makes nonsense of the whole thing. So it may well be just a word that people throw at others. People like saying someone's a Nazi, for example, without any real sense of what that would really mean. Anyway, I think the main problem I would have in putting it on is just to decide what to do with the Isabella plot, because it could obviously be played completely for laughs. I mean, the sheer speed with which she decides that one man after another is the love of her life. And but on the other hand, it might get a bit tedious that way. But I can't quite work out, but to play her simply as the femme fatale is also could be kind of boring too. I'm just not quite sure how one would handle that.
Yeah, that question of tone, though, it could go in a odd. There's something very obsessive about it all, and I talked about it being there's a gamic quality to it that it's like and just that's why I've been ringing the bell, just and bing, next round. Eric, any final thoughts?
You mean thoughts that actually make sense? Yeah. I don't know. It just I'm curious what's going to happen next, because obviously we've already dismissed two lovers, and we're moving on to probably the third one, I'm guessing. Dismissing the third one. I don't know. Just kind of curious what's going to happen.
Yes. Predictions, feel free to throw them in. Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still not quite sure where it's going. And there are fewer ambiguities in the text that we've looked at today than there were in yesterday. So that's helped ease things slightly. But it'll be interesting to see how it finishes.
Emma, you've been thrown in at the deep end today. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I've been thinking quite a lot about the character of Isabella, and kind of, it's a huge part. It's amazing for an actor. And I'm kind of thinking, what drives her? And maybe she aspires to be this Venus figure, this femme fatale figure who's really good at kind of trysts and manipulation and secrecy, but maybe, at least at first, isn't very good at it. It's kind of what she aspires to be, but she's maybe not that good at it to begin with. And then, I don't know, maybe the tragedy later comes from the fact that she kind of starts off as a game and then kind of gets in over her head, and then it all becomes very dark. I don't know what happens at the end. I'm looking forward to finding out.
And they all live happily ever after in a commune. Briony, any final thoughts?
I'm just enjoying the journey. It's always a journey with Marston, and I'm waiting for the moment when I get to laugh at myself and feel like a fool because he's tricked me. That hasn't happened yet, but it's the usual fun that I've come to expect and love.
Lynn, any final thoughts on this author's work?
Yes, I was thinking about Rachel's mention of the place of guilt in this world, and I thought that was very perceptive, because there is this kind of blurring between public and private response to your own wrongdoing. I mean, there's a model in anthropology, it's not really very fashionable anymore, that makes a distinction between guilt cultures and shame cultures, and guilt is internal and shame is external. But I think that there's a very different blurring between feeling in your heart you've done something wrong, and the damage to your reputation and ability to function in society. And so I think this play is definitely thinking about that, or it definitely sort of reveals that phenomenon is going on. I mean, so yeah, guilt, shame, do they overlap? Are they distinct? That's definitely something that this play engages with. So I think that's something a production might want to think about is knowing you're doing something wrong as distinct from the social consequences of wrongdoing.
Who's next? Elizabeth, any final thoughts?
Just unmute myself there. I've been really reserving judgment on this one. Usually with a Marston play, I kind of know how I feel about it, very much from the first session that we do. But with this one, I'm just thinking, where is he going with this? Because we have this insatiable countess, and she's, I love her character. I think she's just fantastic, the way she just follows her whims. But I'm feeling we're going towards a negative end, but we've had a play before that has sort of leaned to that way, but then actually righted itself. So I'm just reserving judgment. I'm excited for tomorrow, and I'm excited to find out where it's going.
Helen, any final thoughts?
Yeah, this play's either a mess or super subtle, and I haven't quite worked out which yet. I thought that it was great that the warring neighbours plot, the B plot, has resolved itself into something pretty farcical, with the women knowing what they know, off to one side and ready to step in. And that's happy. I'm happy that can have a decent Marston ending. But the Isabella plot is much more complicated. And quite honestly, I didn't see how this was going to go all Marston. But now that the Duke's come in, who seems to be not only all powerful, but prepared to indulge his fancy while handing out, while sitting in judgment, I think it's perfectly possible that he could resolve everything as a sort of Duke ex machina.
Valentina, final. You've also been thrown in at the deep end, but you're able to swim on for a little longer to find out how it ends. Any final thoughts?
I'm glad I'm here tomorrow, but I don't know. I'm a bit in two minds about this play, but I think it's just because I find there's no character that I can warm up to. They're all terrible people. I bloody hate Isabella. I don't understand how. It's just it's the manipulation of it. It's not what she does. It's just the way she goes about it. This is ridiculous. But it seems to me that it's very much a play of the stupidity of keeping things hidden. Because even poor whatever his name is, Mendoza being put to death just because he doesn't want to tarnish a lady's honor. It's just ridiculous. But I don't know. I'll see tomorrow. I'm still in two minds about this.
Oh, well, I like two minds. I like a play that keeps people on their toes. It's we don't know where the journey is taking us, and yes, it's going to be another interesting ride as the author takes us to a conclusion next time on the exploring session when we will conclude The Insatiate Countess. Thanks to all these wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Bye. Surf it on my delicates.